Greetings to you all in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. The coming of the Lord is very close, it's very near. Today I would like to discuss with you something the Lord has laid in my heart for the past few weeks and months. In 2018, January, on a live telecast in Facebook, and I said that as the Lord spoke to me, and I said that till 2020, there will be smooth, and after that there will be calamities and issues, and the United States will go through a tough time, and there will be a revival. I also would like to quote what David Wilkerson said. He said years back that a plague will come and will shake New York, but a revival is coming which will sweep USA and the world. I believe that we are getting very close to that, and we are in that season. Also, I would like to say, watch out for June. I believe June this year will be a month where we will be seeing more things happening with more clear evidences with biblical prophecy. Now, this is a coronavirus season. There are lots of questions asking what is after coronavirus. But the first of all I would like to say is that this coronavirus is not going to end all of a sudden. It is going to appear in different parts of the world, and it is going to continue for some time. And this pandemic is something which is going to set the world for a new world order. Now, according to the Bible, we've been talking about the new world order for a long time. And I strongly believe that the new world order is slowly setting in place. And this coronavirus is introducing that new world order which is coming up. But soon, I believe there will be a medicine for this coronavirus and a vaccination. But that doesn't mean that this pandemic is going to end all of a sudden. It's going to continue for some time. Now, we need to pray for this virus to stop. Why? Because this virus is going to change its forms, patterns, the way it attacks. So we need to pray that the Lord will stop it and will give the ability for the scientists to find a medicine and also a vaccination to stop this. Soon there will be a outcry for unity among the nations for common purpose like health, safety, security, and travel. Now, if you look at these days we know that all the flights are down, no flights are flying out or coming in. People are not traveling around the world. Families are separated. Leaders are separated. Wherever we look, people say, I am in this country, and people are in the other country. Some people are sending the flights to bring their citizens back home. But some nations are saying, we are not going to do it. We are going to let them be there for the time being. So this is all separating people. So there will be an outcry from different nations and people. Now, that's going to come out and say that we need to go back home. We need to see our families. We need to be safe. So for this purpose, there will be a unity coming among nations. But because of this coronavirus issue, we are going to see a divided world. Common purpose will come in health, safety, and travel, but there will be a divided world that we are going to see from now onwards. A divided world. The biggest question is, from where coronavirus came? Who created it? I also feel, I strongly believe, it is been created by someone. But the question is where, who, why, how? That's a question that remains. And that's where the conflict is going to happen. Nations will like to know who created it, how it happened. Was it purposefully been created to destroy the world? Was it sent from one nation to the other? That's going to happen. And when that happens, investigations will come. Inquiries will come. Some nations will say, we don't need inquiries. Some other nations will, we need to know. So there will be a split among the nations and organizations. For example, like World Health Organizations and kind of organizations will say, no, we have to work together. But some nations will say, no, what we need to know, we need to get into the root of this and see who created it and how it happened. Was it created or it came from animal? So that's going to create a tension among the world, and some nations are going to be enemies. But also we need to remember some nations are going to be very rich and strong during this crisis, but some nations are going to suffer a lot. So many big nations, huge nations are going to suffer more. Why? Because within the states and provinces, they will say that we need more freedom. We need more of our own independence. Some states will say that we want to move out as an independent nation. We want to have our own freedom. We know how to manage ourselves. We want to move out as an independent nation. So when that happens, there will be conflicts within the nation. So central government, the federal government, the real government of the nation will try to implement their rules and regulations to stop the states, the provinces going out, but they will say we want to go out. And that will bring a clash and issue within the nation. But what's going to happen? It may happen for some time, but every state and province, they all will need financial security, medicine, medical care, and they will need law and order. Because of all these things, even though they try at the beginning, they are going to struggle. When they are going to struggle, they will depend on the central government or the federal government. And when they depend on the federal government will say, okay, we will do everything for you. We will protect you. We will send the army. We will sort out the conflict. We will send the money. We will rescue the people. We will send the medicine. But you have to pledge allegiance to us. This is the way you behave, there is nothing we could do. So the grip of the central government or the federal government on the states will be more stronger and more tough than ever before. And that what happens, the nations will become more tighter inside. There will be more discipline, more strict rules, regulations about travel, about giving, about coming, about going, about job, about everything. There will be a strict rule. And this strict rule comes before the one world order. Why? Because every nation has to stand together to come into a unity with other nations. Now, what we are going to see very soon is cluster of nations will come together. For example, few nations will come together and say, we are standing together working on this. Some other nations will come together and say, we are going to stand together and working on this. But commonly, all the nations will say, we need to have a common platform to work for the health, safety, security, and travel for our people. But individually, inside, these nations will be divided. They will not work together. But only for these purposes, they have to work together. Otherwise, they cannot proceed. Now, what's going to happen is that every nation will tighten their rules. So, this pandemic is going to run for a good time, but this is not the right time for the one world order, what people are talking about. This is the labor pain. The world is getting into the labor pain for the one world order setup. This coronavirus will make the stage clean and ready for the one world order to step in. This will bring an understanding for the nations, a thought in the nations that we need to work together, otherwise we cannot survive. So this thought is being brought by this coronavirus issue. And if you look at it, we've been saying that within the next 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 1 month time, 8 months time, or people will be able to travel around the world, but it's all changing. Now the world is saying, no, we don't know when it's going to be over, when we can find a medicine. Even if the world find a medicine for this, something worse than this could come very soon. Don't think this pandemic is going to end and the world is going to be normal very soon. It's going to take a long time, but by that time, everything for the one world order will be set in. Now, this will set everything in place for the next action for the world to come together. One thing is sure, that many powerful nations are going to struggle. Many powerful nations are going to struggle. They are going to struggle financially. They are going to struggle for the health. They are going to struggle for infrastructure. Struggles are going to come into nations. Now, if you look into the recent statistics and news, Bill Gates Foundation, Bill Gates and Melinda's Foundation called on Wednesday, the 15th of April, for a global cooperation for a ready for COVID-19 vaccine for 7 billion people. And they said they are ready to give 150 million. They already gave money, already given money, but they are going to give 150 million more for developing for treatment and medicines. And then Microsoft recently made a patent WO 2020-060606, which we could read as World Order 2020 060606. It says, I'm going to read as it says, they have patented the above number, body interface digital currency. And it says, this technology to be either implanted in human or the use of scanners by where a computer will send them a job, and if you carry out that job, it will then in turn pay you by cryptocurrency. See, then another one I'm going to read. Since 2016, ID 2020 has advocated for ethical privacy protecting approaches to digital ID. In 2018, Microsoft and few other firms joined to promote this idea. And they joined them as the founding members. Now, many people say, they are trying to make the one world together order and everything. But let me tell you, many times our concepts may not be right. But all these technologies, all these inventions, this is where we need to understand. When a powerful leader comes in one country, people will say, this is the Antichrist. When another leader comes, they will say, oh, this is the Antichrist. One nation becomes strong, they will say, oh, this may be the one world order. No, we can, because of all these things we hear about patent and this and that, we cannot say this is one world order. But what's going to happen? All these technologies are going to be used in the future for the one world order. That's the reality. Many times when the technology comes, technology never comes to make the one world order. When we have the mobile phone in the beginning, we never thought it's going to be this much famous and popular. We thought it's a gadget which is good for us. So every technology comes in, it is not to create one world order, but it automatically support the one world. That's what's going to happen. So we need to understand that, many times these technologies are not even connected. But when the time comes, it all will be connected. And that's where we need to watch out. One more thing I will say before I stop this first episode. This is a 4 episodes. So before I stop, once again, I will say, look for them. I believe we have to look for the month of June. Something we will find in the month of June. Now, in the next episode, I would like to talk about, we've been talking about this. Is the virus, this coronavirus will bring the mark of the beast or the number 666. We'll talk about that in the next video. Please be ready and tune in. Thank you.